Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I am Gift and you're welcome to Gift and Couture. So in today's tutorial, I want to show you how I made this beautiful top. I made it for my husband's nephew anyway. So I made the trouser as well. I already cut the trouser too. You see it at the end of the video. Just that for the trouser, I was not able to do the recording, the sewing process, but this one, the top, I was able to do it. So if this is your first time of coming across my channel, please do well to subscribe, like, share, comment. Let's get started. So the first thing you're going to do, you're going to fold your fabric into two and then take your body measurement for the person's measurement or your measurement. You fold it and divide it into four. For his measurement is chest measurement is 28, so I added like 6 inches to it, making 34 divided by 4, and that's what I did. Divided by 4, you get 8.5. all right, and I also made his top measurement to be 28, so I'm marking 8.5 right now. Remember, for the front, what I'm cutting is the front. For the front, I'm not going to cut the armhole yet. When you are cutting men's top, you are not going to cut the armhole yet, so just watch and see. So the first thing I did was to mark the 8.5 and connect the lines. The next thing I did was to mark 1.5 for the seam allowance, just like what you are seeing on the screen. So the next thing is to go ahead and cut the shoulder slant. For a small boy, you can use 2 inches to get the shoulder slant. For a bigger person, you can use 3.5. So I'll go ahead and cut it out, just like what you're seeing on the screen. So after I was done, I went ahead to place the front to cut the back. Remember, for the back, you're not going to cut it the same thing. So for the back, you're going to go up by 2.5 for a smaller person. For a bigger person, you can use 3 inches to 3.5. So I'll go ahead and place the 2.5 and marked it, just like what you're seeing on the screen. So after I was done marking, I went ahead to cut it out. Now, to cut the back, to place the back, there's a technique for it. The 2.5 I added, you are going to fold it just like what you're seeing on the screen. So the folding you are going to place on it, you're not placing it exactly. You're going to mark like half an inch for the front and then place it there. So that half an inch is what you are going to sew, and then go ahead and press it using your pressing iron. After you are done doing that, it's time to cut the neck. So you are going to cut the neck. For a smaller person, you can use, for a small boy, you can use 2 inches, all right, and for a bigger person, you can use 2.5. that's to get the width. So for his own, I used 2 inches to get the neck width, and for the neck depth, you can use 3 inches to 3.5 for a small boy. For a bigger person, you can use 4 inches. That 4 inches is okay for a bigger person. For his own, I used 3.5, and then I went ahead to use the 2 inches to get the neck width, and then went ahead to connect it. I hope you are getting it. So after I was done, the next thing was to cross check the neck. So for his neck measurement is 13 inches. All right, so next thing is to go ahead and divide the neck into 2, which is 6.5, and then remeasure my neck. And after I was done, you can see the way I measure it. I got that exactly 6.5, and that was it. The next thing was to go ahead and cut out the neck. So when you are cutting the neck, you have to cut it before the chalk. I hope you are getting it. I prefer it to be firm on the person than for the neck to be wide. That's the reason. So you can see the way I cut out the neck. I cut out half of the part of the back. So you can see the way I cut it. So after that, the next thing was to go ahead and divide his shoulder into 2. So for his shoulder measurement, so I just cross-check the neck just like what you're seeing on the screen. So if his shoulder measurement is 13 inches, so I'll go ahead and add 1 inches to it, making 14 inches. That 1 inch is for the sewing allowance. So I'll divide it into 2 and then place it on on the center, from the center, and then I'll mark that 7 inches. So for exam hole is 13 inches. So the next thing, when it comes to men's measurement, it doesn't have to be fitted like the female own. So I'll just mark it there. So I added half an inch to it, and then the same measurement I used for the shoulder, I brought it down to where I marked that 7 inches, and then went ahead to connect it. Just look at what I'm doing. All right, so I went ahead to connect it just like what you are seeing on the screen. And after I was done doing that, I went ahead to cross check. I marked the 1.5 I added, and then went ahead to cross check his measurement, and it was perfect. All right, so after that, I went ahead to cut it. For me, I prefer cutting the front first before cutting the back. So for the back, I'll add like half an inch to it to cut it. So after adding the half an inch, I went ahead to cut it, and that was it. So the next thing I did was to notch the folding for the back. You can see. So after that, I went ahead to mark like 6 inches. The 6 inches is for the opening because I want to use placket on it, and then I went ahead to slit it. So for a bigger person, you can use 7 to 7.5 for the slit. All right, and then notch it. What you are notching, what you are going to notch determines what you are going to fold for the placket. So I use 0.3 for the notching, and that's what I'm going to use for the placket. All right, so I'll go ahead and notch it, and that was it. So the next thing I did was just to mark like 14 inches to get half. That 14 inches, I just assume it will be where his waist is, and then I remove like half an inch from it. Yeah, it's not really compulsory, but I like doing it for it to have a little fitting. So after I was done, I went ahead to mark the 2 inches that I added to his measurement and fold it using iron. The reason I use iron is for it to be easier when I'm folding it. So I went ahead to mark on the other side and then use my iron to press it. So after I was done doing that, I went ahead to mark where the opening is going to be. When it comes to men, it's always have opening by the side. So I used 7 inches, but I felt like after I finished sewing, I realized the 7 inches was too much. So in case you want to sew, you can use 5 inches. So that's why I notch, and that's it. So we are done cutting the front. The next thing is to go ahead and cut the facing. For the front, I cut the facing and gave it my desired shape that I want. For you, it depends on what you are going to choose. You can follow this method or choose your own inspiration. All right, so I went ahead to cut the shape and then marked it. You are going to see it just like what I did. So after I was done doing that, I went ahead to cut the back as well, and then use my estate to gum it. I didn't really record the back when I was cutting the back because there was no space in my phone. All right, so now I've gone ahead to cut the facing for the back. Now for the back, I cut it the exact measurement, like the neck to the shoulder, and then the length of it, I used 7 inches. So that's 7 inches. I folded like half an inch for the sewing. So I'll go ahead and measure it. You see, after folding that half an inch, it remains 6.5. So this is the half an inch here, and I've gone ahead to iron it properly. You can see the way I did it. Follow this method and you get it right. So after I was done doing that, I went ahead to place for the front that I cut as well. I went ahead to put stay and also folded all the sides that are necessary, and that was it. So for the placket that I said, I've gone ahead to iron the placket too using my stay, and then went ahead to open it. So for the placket, the measurement I used to get the placket is 3.5. All right, so after that, I also fold another one that the what's it called, the press button will be, and that was it. Next thing I did was to go ahead and fold my bias. I decided to use bias to create a design for him, and this was what I did. I folded my bias into two using my pressing iron. You know how bias is, just open the folding inside and iron it into two, and that was what I did. After I was done doing that, this is the outcome. So the next thing is to go ahead. You can see how it looks like. The next thing I did was to go ahead and put it under the facing. So for the front, you are going to brace the neck, brace the slit, and don't turn it. All right, so this is what I did. I'll place it and then go ahead and sew it round, following the shape. So after I was done, this is the outcome. You can see what I did there. I didn't turn the neck because I want to use the material to do the turning. So for the placket, the smaller one, there's a technique to it. For a female one, there's a technique to it. For a man's one, there's a technique to it. So for the man's one, you are going to turn it like this and then went ahead to sew it. After folding it, after sewing it, you are going to come to this side and use this other side and sew it. So let's go ahead and do it. So I'm going to show you in my next scene. So the first thing I did, I went ahead to sew it. So this is what I did. I went ahead to sew the measurement that I marked. You can see how it is. When I got to where they slit it, and I stopped. So you don't have to cut the placket to be the same measurement. Remember I told you that the length has to be longer. So this is it. After I finished sewing this one, the smaller one, I went ahead to sew it from the front and then cut it out. That's what I did. And for the back, I'll go ahead and do the same thing. I'll go ahead and sew it like what you are seeing on the screen. That's the main reason you should use your iron to create that folding. So after I was done, this is it. I brought it out, and the next thing is to go ahead and sew it on top, and then when I get to that slit, I will notch it just like the way you're seeing on the screen. So before notching it, I always like using pin to hold it, and the next thing I did was to go ahead and remove the pin first and then iron it. So you can see how it looks like. Look at how it is. The placket is on top of it. The next thing is to go to the back. So for the back, I open my fabric. The next thing is for you to turn the fabric. You're going to brace the neck as well. In case you don't want to follow this method, you can just turn the neck. So after folding the neck, bracing the neck rather, you're going to join it. Now, how to join the shoulder? You're going to pick the facing of the front of the back rather and turn it just like what you are seeing on the screen. Okay, just pick the facing of the back and then turn it and sew the ½ inch that we added for the joining. You are going to sew it on this side and then sew it on the other side. After I was done, this is the outcome, and you can see our neck is already given. So after I was done, I went ahead to put the bias as well, and this was it. All right, so you can see the neck, you can see the body, you can see everything. All right, so the next thing is to go ahead and notch. Always make sure you notch that joining, notch it very well, because that's where you're going to put your sleeve. So you can see how the neck is. So the next thing I did was to go ahead and fold, cut a fabric on bias just like what you're seeing on the screen, because that's what I'm going to use for the taping of the neck, because I still want to maintain the bias, use the bias to create design. So after I was done, this is the outcome. You can see how the neck is. So the next thing is to go ahead and measure my armhole. After measuring the armhole, I went ahead to cut the sleeve. So for the length of the sleeve is 8 inches, so and I added 2 inches, making 10 inches. All right, so after marking the 10 inches, I went ahead to measure his biceps and I added the measurement to it. Now to get the armhole contour, I came down by 2 inches and connect it. That's for men's one. For a female one, you can use 4 inches to 4.5. Remember, it doesn't have to be that deep. So I went ahead to cross-check the measurement and it was okay. So I went ahead to mark the 8 inches just to indicate where I would notch, and that's the 8 inches that I just marked there. So from there, I went ahead to measure the biceps again. Whatever I have, I minus it by 1 and then place the same measurement on the hemming line and then went ahead to cut it. All right, So after I finished cutting it, I went ahead to fold the 2 inches that I added, and I notch it. So I'll go ahead and sew it. So after sewing it, I'll go ahead and fix the sleeve. So how to fix the sleeve? Remember I told you to notch the joining. So after notching it, you are going to place, after folding, after you've sewn the 2 inches, you are going to place the sleeves on where you notch. You are going to sew it from that center of where you notch to the other side, and then to the other side, to the other end. So after I was done, this is the outcome. The next thing was for me to go ahead and join the side and sew the seam allowance, and that was it. So this was when I was done. I decided to record this very part. I went ahead to iron it. I ironed the side, I sewed the seam, even the hemming allowance I did the same thing as well. After that, I went ahead to fold it just like what you're seeing on your screen, and the next thing is to cut the trouser. To cut the trouser, you're going to divide your thigh into two. Alright, for his thigh is 21 divided by 2, you get 10.5. So I went ahead to mark that 10.5. This is for it to prevent wasting of fabric. So from there I went ahead to mark his trouser length. His trouser length was 33, and I added 2 inches to it, making 35, and I marked it. So after marking it, to get his crotch, for a boy you can use 7 inches, for a bigger person you can use 10 to 11 inches. So for his own I used 7 inches, and from there I went ahead to mark his thigh, his knee length, which is 18. I'll go ahead and mark it. So after that I marked his trouser length, which is 33 plus 2 inches, making 35, and that was it. So after I was done doing that, I went ahead to mark his waist measurement. Now remember his thigh is 10.5, and then from there whatever measurement I have, you mark it on the waist as well. That is, you are dividing that 10.5 into 2, which is 7 and 5.7. That gives me 5.7. All right, so I went ahead to mark it and then use my ruler to connect it. So after I was done doing that, I went up to the waist and marked the waist measurement. For his waist was 23. All right, so I added some inches to it. All right, I added some inches to, because I wanted to put elastic to it, and I marked it. So it depends on you. In case you decide not to use elastic, you can use your actual waist measurement. So from there, the measurement I had, I divided my knee measurement. I divided our knee measurement, his knee measurement rather, into 2, and I marked it on the lines that I divided. Whatever I have on this side, I'll mark it, and then went ahead to connect it to meet the thigh measurement, just like what you're seeing on your screen. So from there I went to the ankle length, which is also the calf, which is different from the calf. Remember, the calf measurement is different from the ankle length. So from there I went ahead for his calf. I think his calf was 12 or 13, but you did all those measurements, you divide it into 4 and share it on both sides. But for the thigh measurement, you divide it into 2, remember. So I went ahead to mark it last, I think it's 3 point something, and I marked it on both sides. That's the ankle measurement. I marked it on, and then connect the measurement to the knee length, and then I went ahead to cut it. So when you are cutting something like this, you just have to be patient. All right, and then that's it. So after I was done cutting it, you can see how it looks like. I went up to the waist. Before I cut it, I went up to the waist and marked 1.5. So I'm not going to cut it out. That shape that I just marked, that slanty shape, is just for me to indicate his pocket, because that's how the pocket is going to be. So I went ahead to connect from the thigh to the waist, and that was it. All right, For his hip, you just connect it just like that, and then that was it. So the next thing is for me to go ahead and cut it. After I was done cutting it, you can see I folded the 2 inches that I added, which is going to be used for the hemming. And for the waist, you can see I'm going to go ahead and fold the 1.5. First thing, I'll notch it and then fold it. So after folding it, I'm going to press it. So I went ahead to press it on and then notch it. So the measurement I'm going to notch determines what I'm going to sew. So before then, I went to the waistline and come down by 1/inch. You have to do this, you have to do it. All right, I'll go ahead and cut out that 1/inch. Don't worry, we are going to increase it by the back. Okay, so the next thing, I went ahead to slit the side and went ahead to notch it. So that notching, you can notch 0.5 or 0.7 depending on what you are going to sew. Like I said, what you notch determines what you are going to sew. So I went ahead to press it and then notch it the exact measurement I wanted to sew, and that was it. And the folding, you are going to fold it to that point where you notch. All right, so after I was done, I went ahead to place the front to cut the back. So for the back, you are going to, on the crotch length, you are going to increase it by 3 inches. So I went ahead to draw the lines on the crotch length or the thigh length. You are going to add 3 inches. For the from other line, you are going to add 2 inches all the way, just like what you are seeing on the screen. That's from your knee level down to your ankle. You are going to add 2 inches, and on the hip line, you're going to add 2 inches as well. On the waistline, you're going to add that 2 inches, because now for the, we remember we remove 1 inches from there. You're going to go up by 1.5 for the waistline and then connect it slantly, just like what you're seeing on the screen. All right, you can see I opened the folding that I notched and then connect it. After I was done, I went ahead to cut it out. All right, so like I said, for the trouser, I didn't record the sewing process, but this was it. The pocket, I did it offline, but this was what I did. After that, I went ahead to cut it out. So after cutting it out, when you get to that crotch length, you are going to stop and then use your scissors to slit it, because when it comes to main store, we don't have to put that, it doesn't have to be fitted. All right, so I went ahead to fold the 1.5. You can see what I did. So if you want to cut your pocket, that's the same thing you are going to do. All right, I'm sorry guys, I wasn't able to record that part. So that was it. So for the front, remember the 2 inches that you had, you're going to sew 1/2 inch on both sides. You're going to, on the side and on the crotch length, you're going to sew 1/2 inch. So I went ahead to iron that very spot properly, and this was it. You can see the trouser how it looks, and from there I went ahead to correct the measurement that I had it. So this was it. I went ahead to iron the 2 inches. All this time I thought I would be able to record everything, but for the pocket, for the front, I forgot to put the pocket, and then I remember, and this was it. For the length of the pocket, I cut is 9 inches, and I went ahead to fold like 2 inches. All right, so from there I went ahead to fold those sides and then give it a slanty shape. So to get that shape, I marked 6 inches and then connect it just like what you're seeing on the screen. All right, so after cutting it out, I went ahead to fold it. All right, so after folding it, I went ahead to fix the pocket using my pin to hold it. So just watch what I'm going to do. I went ahead to fold this side, but before folding this side, you are going to measure it, and then the width of the pocket that I use, actually use 8 inches in total, and then fold half an inch, half an inch. So after I was done folding, I went ahead to fix the pocket, of which I'm still going to show you. But before folding, you're going to fold the 2 inches first. So after folding the 2 inches, go ahead and sew it. Make sure you fold it into two, just for you to get the center of the pocket. So just like what you're seeing on the screen, I'll go ahead and fold this side just like this. I'll fold this side and the other side, then the down part I'll fold it as well. So after I was done doing that, I went ahead to fix it. So if you've watched this video to this point, thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe if you are yet to. Turn on your notifications so that you can always get notified whenever I post a new video. Do well to subscribe. Thank you. Alright, so this was when I was folding it. I didn't want to speed up this very part so that you see what I did there. So the same measurement, I went ahead to fold it, and then after that I went ahead to bring out the top and then place it on it. So now how you are going to do, open the top just like what you're seeing on the screen. But this pocket is always better when you are not done sewing, but because I forgot, this is why I recorded this very spot rather. You are going to go ahead and sew the 2 inches like I said, and then open the side where the opening stopped. You're going to place it and then use your pin to pin it down and then sew the side. I hope you are getting it. I'm really sorry I forgot to do this part when I was sewing. Okay, I'll go ahead and put my pin just like this and then go ahead and sew it. Thank you so much. See you in my next video. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to drop a comment. All right. Thank you. See you guys. Bye. So that was it. Thank you.